Storage of harvested water. Traditional methods of water storage. Water harvesting system was prevalent in India since ancient times. Evidence of this tradition can be found in ancient texts, inscriptions, local traditions, and can be archaeological remains. Due to unfavorable climatic conditions and non-availability of the groundwater, water harvesting was a way of life. They followed their indigenous technical knowledge, evolved through the needs, through the skills and the local resources. Many indigenous methods of water harvesting and storage are still prevalent in different parts of our country. Some of them, such as Khadan, Kund, Queen, or Nadi, or Anikat, or Bandaras, have already been dealt. Types of water storage structure. The storage of the harvested water. A number of water storage structures have been devised depending upon the quality requirement and purpose of harvested water. Harvested water may be used for the irrigation of crops, livestock, and human consumption and fish culture. The harvested water can be used for cultivation of crops either by storing water in the water storage structures to be used for providing protective or life saving irrigation as and when required, or storing water in the soil profile to be used by the plants according to the requirement. For other purposes, harvested water can be stored in the surface and subsurface storage structures. Different types of water harvesting structures are constructed depending upon the topographic conditions, which is a plain, undulating, or hilly. The purpose of use of harvested water: irrigation, drinking, domestic, livestock, groundwater recharge, and fisheries, and the initial investment. The harvested water can be stored in the following structure: the excavated pits or ponds, tanks, plastic lined ponds, reservoirs, percolation tanks, the underground cistern, aquifer, soil profile. Excavated pits or ponds. The pit or pond is one of the most common types of the structure to store the harvested water for irrigation, fisheries, and livestock use. These structures are constructed by excavating earth to capture the surface runoff from the catchment during rainy season. An inlet is provided to allow runoff water to enter the pond. Another outlet is provided to dispose the excess water to avoid failure of the embankment of the pond. Embankment of the pond. Covered excavated pit known as cistern helps in reducing the loss of water through evaporation. Ponds can be created in a different way depending upon the terrain. In flat area, pond can be constructed by digging a pit and forming an embankment around the pit using excavated earth. This type of pond is called the dugout pond. In hilly areas where there is a hill on three sides, pond can be constructed by simply forming an embankment on the open side. This type of pond is called the embankment type of pond. On these sides, in undulating terrain, depression is selected for the constructing pond. In this situation, excavated soil during digging is used for making embankment on these sides. This type of pond is called the dugout cum embankment pond and constructed in this particular situation to reduce the cost of construction as more digging involve more cost. Ponds are fed by the surface runoff or by the perennial stream in flat areas at certain time. Pond is fed by groundwater aquifer, particularly for the fish culture. We have the tanks. Normally, tanks are constructed on or above the ground surface, and therefore runoff from land or roof catchment can easily be diverted into it and stored. Tanks made of plastic, iron sheet, wood, cement, concrete can be placed at the suitable location at the farm or near buildings with one inlet for roof water on top and one outlet in form of tap near the bottom on concrete tank. Wooden or steel tanks are constructed above or underground to store the harvested water for drinking and domestic use. The tanks receive water either from an agriculture catchment or rooftop and are covered to avoid contamination and evaporation loss. Then the plastic lined ponds. There is a substantial loss of stored water to the seepage from bottom and sides of earthen pond. Pond is lined with the good quality plastic film to check the seepage loss. The plastic sheet is economical and effective in controlling seepage loss in case of the tank is always full of water. In case of intermittent wetting and the drying cycles due to the non-availability of water in the tank during certain period, the plastic sheet may develop cracks. Then we have the reservoirs. They can be made by constructing a small dam or embankment across a perennial flow. Dam blocks the flow, resulting in the ponding of water on upstream side of the dam. Height of dam is governed by the quantity of water to be stored. Generally, height of the small dam varies from 2 to 5 meter. Dam are provided with the side slopes on the both sides. Side slope depends upon the texture of the soil used for making the dam. For clay soil and sandy soil, minimum side slope is capped as 0.5 is to 1 and 2 is to 1 respectively. Spillway is provided in the embankment to drain off excess water above the designed height of the embankment. Reservoir water may be used for irrigation, recreation, industries, domestic water supply, and groundwater recharge. The reservoir, the dam, and the linked spillway, the percolation tanks is designed to impound total runoff from the catchment, and embankment is constructed across the ephemeral stream. Ephemeral stream to intercept runoff from to intercept runoff from local catchment and store it from optimum utilize and store it from optimum utilization. Depending upon the subsoil and geologic condition, percolation tanks are located in the part of the natural water courses that receive floods of short duration during monsoon and remain dry during most of the post-monsoon period. The depth of water against the dam over the nala bed or ground level should not exceed 6 meter. The flatter the basin of such a tank, the better it is for the accumulated water to soak into the ground. In the downstream area, well can be dug to pump groundwater for irrigating crops. Then we have the underground cistern. A considerable part of the stored water in open pond is lost through the evaporation. Besides, water in open pond is more prone to contamination and therefore needs to be covered in order to use water for human and livestock consumption. Cistern is constructed in a semi-arid and arid areas where evaporation rate is high. It is similar to underground tank but has higher capacity than the tank. Cistern may be in the form of the covered earthen pit, concrete pit, or plastic lined pit. Surface runoff from the catchment is diverted in the cistern through an inlet. Catchment is kept clean, that it is kept free from the human and livestock feces. Cistern is covered either by the thatch matting or the concrete slab. The size of cistern is decided on the basis of water demand and the catchment area. Then we have the aquifer. Underground aquifers are one of the main sources of clean water. The groundwater gets depleted due to excessive withdrawal of the water for irrigation and the other uses. Therefore, runoff which goes waste should be used to recharge the aquifers, which may be pumped out to meet the water requirement of the different users. Efforts should be made to harvest water in the tanks and ponds first, and then excess water used to recharge aquifers by diverting surface runoff water to abandoned wells, percolation tanks, and the bore wells for recharging groundwater. Bunding, terracing, and trenching also help recharge groundwater by increasing the opportunity time of runoff to infiltrate into the soil. The soil profile. Water in soil profile within the root zone of the crop is used for crop growth. During irrigation or rainfall, water inflates into the soil profile. When all the pores in the soil profile are filled up, the excess water percolates below the root zone to meet groundwater, resulting in recharge and the rise of water table. The bund or embankment is constructed for ponding of runoff water during rainy season, and the conserved soil moisture is utilized for cultivating crops. Before sowing of crops, excess water needs to be drained. You will check this in the following. Then we have the construction of water storage. Construction of water storage structures. construction of water storage water storage structures. After critically examining all types of water storage structure, it is clear that all the storage structures involve basically digging of pit or forming embankment or both depending on the site conditions. All the water storage structures essentially have an inlet and an outlet. Outlet provided in the pond or embankment to dispose of the water access to the design capacity of the structure is called a spillway. This component is very essential for safety to the structure. Here we will discuss the construction of the embankment, the excavation of the pit and lining the pit with the plastic film. Before constructing a structure, it is essential to know the following. That is the water demand, the period of the water requirement, annual rainfall and area and characteristics of the catchment which will feed the structure. The water demand includes a water requirement for irrigation, livestock, and domestic consumption for the dry period. Domestic water demand. WD equals to PO into DC into T upon 1000. WD is the domestic water demand during the dry period in meter cube. PO is the number of users of the reservoir tank. DC is the average rate of water consumption, and the T is the duration of the dry period days. Then we have the livestock water demand, which is the WT. It is into N into AC into T upon 1000. WT is the water needed for livestock during the whole dry period in meter cube, and the N is the WL. The N is the number of animals using reservoir water. The AC is the average rate of animal water consumption in liter per day per animal, and the T is the duration of dry period days. The loss of water from the reservoir pond is the water stored in the reservoir or pond is lost in two ways. That is the loss of water from the water surface through evaporation and the seepage loss from the wetted area of the pond. Now we have the capacity of the pond. Seepage and the evaporation losses may be taken as a 10 to 20% of the volume of water in the pond depending on the soil type, period, and the age of the tank. Then we have the capacity of the pond, indicating the quantity of water to be stored is determined by the adding water demand and losses. As per the site conditions, shape and dimensions of the pond are determined for the required capacity, and additional depth known as the freeboard equal to the 20% of the calculated depth is provided for the safety of the structure in case of the unexpected rainfall. Therefore, actual depth of the pond is the calculated depth plus 20% of the calculated estimation of available runoff for harvesting. After calculating the water demand, the expected quantum of runoff available for harvesting needs to be ascertained, which in turn depends on the catchment area and the amount of annual rainfall. Catchment area should be such that for an average annual rainfall, it should yield enough water to fill the pond. The available runoff from the water roof catchment can be estimated as the major length and width of the roof and calculate the roof catchment area available for collecting water by multiplying these dimensions. They calculate the amount of rainwater that can be harvested by multiplying the average annual rainfall with roof catchment area, and they calculate the net amount of water available for harvesting by subtracting 10 to 20 losses from the amount of water. The procedure to calculate the annual runoff from the field catchment is extremely difficult. However, as a thumb rule, available runoff can be assumed as 20 of the annual rainfall. The construction of the pond. Normally, three types of excavated ponds: so the embankment type, excavated and dugout cum embankment type, are constructed for collection of excess runoff depending on the site conditions.